11.2 brings the biggest raid boss ever. Now, we fought a big raid boss before, right? We did. His name was Deathwing. And that fight, unfortunately, was not fun because we ended up fighting tentacles the entire time instead of fighting Deathwing himself. Now I'm wondering how they're going to pull this one off, right? A giant boss, evidently a boss the size of a city, that we're supposed to be fighting against.
We have a realm to destroy.
Uncle Stogie, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge. Let's see if Blizzard's going to be able to pull this one off from Marcellian and his buddy, Flame. Here we go.
Welcome back to Marcellian Online. We have a big, huge topic today, and that is the last boss
Literally
in the
big.
new patch 11.2 Ghosts of Koresh, because we know, well, we don't know, but they did say this is the biggest, baddest, hugest, humongous in the world.
He's
You got
cocked.
it.
He's huge.
It's at least it's very ambitious, and it's looking like the way they showed it in the WoW.
Like, if we can glean any hints, we're not going to see this boss fight, right? Blizzard doesn't even preview these on the pre-TR in terms of, like, when you preview the raid, we're not going to see the final boss fight. So we're not going to know anything about this. What I will say, is that Xal'atath? Is that Xal'atath right there? I've seen this image 100 times, and I've never noticed this little void being standing right here. That might be Xal'atath. Shit. Anyways, this is a giant platform. So what I will say is, okay, he's the biggest boss ever, but about, like, you know, from the just above the cock down, he's going to be under the platform. So that's parts of it is not going to matter. What we're going to be dealing with is this top part. Now, how we're going to do this boss fight, I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of dodging and shit going on in this. This doesn't go all the way around. This is a single platform, U-shaped. I just hope we're actually fighting him the entire time and not fighting, like, little mobs the entire fight, and then, okay, yeah, we end up defeating him by defeating the little mobs.
Cast with it being bigger than
It's
Stormwind.
like bigger than Stormwind. Like, how? So I have so many questions. I have so many questions and so many concerns about this. But will it work? Will a boss of that magnitude work? And when I'm asking this, I'm thinking about mechanics, visuals, and because listen, if I'm gonna fight his toenails or his fingertips, that ain't gonna be it, Chief. So I'm hoping they take into account this, like, I really want this raid to, like, be felt, because there is the last raid of the expansion.
And it's a boss that they've done before, and now they have the opportunity to do it good again. So let's actually talk about, we're going to get into the cool parts, but first, because this is like the first thing on our mind, the concerns. What is your biggest concern about it?
There's so many. Well, I told you, the first one would be how exactly would they make you feel immersed into this raid? Traditionally, they did great raids, and from what I've heard from the testing, this one looks to be a banger as well, at least the bosses that have been tested. But I always had...
Is that me, or is this lagging like shit? Like, this isn't the video. This just looks like a very laggy fight. I hope we're not going to have frame rate issues in this raid. We've been having those for, like, the last couple raids now in WoW.
The problem with not always feeling super immersed into it. Some raids made you feel like, I cannot not mention here the Azshara fight, the Azshara raid.
Eternal Palace.
Eternal Palace, right?
Yeah.
That felt very immersive. Even the Crucible of Stars, the mini raid, also felt very voidy, very... Okay, so... I don't know, Dragonfly had awesome raids, but I didn't feel that immersed.
I think the closest was probably the first one, Vault of the Incarnates, when we went into the mountain.
Still, it wasn't touching, like, the surface of the previous raids from at least from BFA, from when I started raiding. So my first concern is, how would they make you feel immersed and be part of, like, something huge, fighting such a big entity like Dimensius or...
I feel like Mana Forge as a concept is going to really feel immersive for people who've played.
Also, like, power creep. Like, how are we defeating a being that's capable of destroying an entire planet? That's the question. Like, I know maybe you could say, oh, Deathwing was capable of destroying an entire planet. I mean, he was capable of, you know, wrecking the planet. I don't know if he could have literally, destroyed the core of the planet from the inside out and blown it up. I don't know if he was capable of that. But we're literally fighting a being that is capable of devouring an entire planet. How are we going to get up to that level of power? We don't even have our Legion legendaries anymore. How's that shit going to work? Or our Legion artifact weapons? We'll have to see. We beat up the old gods. This dude is nothing. No, he's supposed to be more powerful than the old gods. What are you talking about? This is like the old god's daddy. He's not, I guess, on the level of a Titan. I think we can admit that the Titans are a bit stronger than these guys. But we'll have to see how it all goes out. Algernon? I mean, yeah. Algernon was a tough boy. But I still think this is the toughest person we've fought so far.
the Burning Crusade, because it has, from what we've seen so far in the cinematic.
And technically, we fought like a weakened Titan when we fought Argus, so that he might be the strongest we fought up to this point. If you're looking at just strictly power, we'll have to see.
It has a feel of, you know, all of those little mana
He's not at his
dungeons
full
back
strength.
in Netherstorm, Botanica, Alcatraz,
That might be the
or
play.
whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it feels like all of those ethereal prisons, all of that stuff. And I mean, for people who've played through this, myself included, that's giga cool. I always like that culture.
Yeah, but you have to take into account also that a lot of people that are played today are not like us.
Yeah,
They started
that's what I mean,
maybe
yeah.
in Legion, maybe in BFA, and they don't know that vibe of Burning Crusade and what happened in the Netherstorm and whatnot.
Exactly.
So if they manage to like do this atmospheric immersion element to it properly, then you know one concern is scratched off the table. Now the second concern, and this is a big one, how would you translate mechanics of this boss and not make it feel
Yeah.
like you're fighting inside him? Because from the size of it, as they explained it, it's basically a big room.
That's the big.
Maybe I want to be inside of him. Maybe he didn't think about that. What if I want to be inside Dimensius? But besides the fact, I think Jamal, I think you're onto something there when you said he's not at his full strength. That might be what this whole fight is about. Like he's approaching full strength, and if he does, we're dead. So we got to kind of race the timer and kill him before he reaches his full potential, and then he'll just wipe us off the face of the planet. That's probably what this fight is. That's the way that you can justify us fighting a Void Lord.
Biggest problem, and I think this probably led to how the Deathwing fight ended up being in Cataclysm, and how a lot of the fights like this are where you're. I think it started probably in TBC when you were fighting Kill Jaden in Samuel Plateau. You didn't really fight the whole thing. The boss is too big to manifest into the world. And how do you, like the first thing that comes to mind, because there's obviously a lot of issues like you mentioned, is the Smolderon fight in Amir Drisil. Is not the only one, but it's the biggest one, where the boss model is so big if you're a melee player that if it has mechanics around it that go through its model, that's going to be a problem.
It was a pain.
Because dodging those tornadoes that were coming from the range side as a melee, and you didn't know because you couldn't see past its feet, is going to be an issue. And not to mention that the boss model just doesn't fit your screen.
There's the other issue that this whole room is like purple and void. And all of his abilities look like they're going to be purple and void. So I hope there's a way to discern what the hell's going on. If they put purple swirlies on the purple floor, we're going to have issues. And they've done that before, so I hope that's not what's about to happen. But we need to be able to visually see what the hell's going on.
Why I was asking, will this work? Because obviously they want to have this huge epic moment with this boss fight. And yeah, you mentioned Deathwing. Like I remember back in Cataclysm when they advertised the fight. This would be the biggest fight, the most mechanically intensive, the most visually impactful fight, and you ended up being on the back of Deathwing, just removing like stacks of armor from it. It was boring as fuck, and it was also it was bad. You literally fight his fingernails at some point. So they do want to make something epic, and they don't have like the biggest track record when it comes to like size and epic at the same time. You mentioned like mechanics, nasty for melees on small Deron.
That's a big one.
It is a big one. And again, this all ties up because it's all like a complete circle. Like, okay, you want to have this visually be in front of you. You have to understand, you have to feel this is the biggest threat so far in the expansion. But you also have to be able to play this boss and finish it.
I think when you make a boss this big, because we've had examples, maybe the best example that we can have about this is Diablo 4. So when you have a boss that's bigger,
in your Diablo 4
bro, I don't know, man. But listen, when you have a boss model that's bigger than your regular size screen, you have to zoom out somehow. Otherwise, you're just not immersed into the fight. I
mean, Ragnaros, technically, if you've ever tanked him or anything, you play a melee against Ragnaros, you can't see him. He's bigger than the screen. That's always been a thing with him. So I'm assuming this is going to be the same. Blizzard's done that before. Him being in the screen is not a big deal.
You're like you said, you're just fighting its fingernails. Because how are they going to translate a boss that's bigger than Stormwind? We're just going to see its little torso thing, and then his hands are coming off screen. Are you going to see those mechanics? Because okay, let's not make the Diablo 4 comparison. Let's make Workshop. The last boss in Workshop. If you're a melee, how much of the boss model do you actually see?
You don't see it. Just at the end when the little guy jumps out.
That's about it. So unless it makes it so that we can engage with the full size at certain parts of the fight, it won't feel like we're fighting a big boss, but we're just fighting like pixels. And if we are going to be able to play and fight, and I don't know, maybe we zoom our camera a little bit more, then they have to like tone down the little tiny mechanics that you have to react really quick that normally we want to zoom in, or like pin the camera just what is it, the bird's eye view, where you just see exactly where the circles are so you can dodge them. that just takes away from you getting immersed into the fight and actually seeing the boss model. So maybe this is one of those opportunities where they're going to tone down the mechanics moving into their war against add-ons.
We did ask about this in our interview with them, and they definitely took this into account, but they did say that this won't be the raid where you'll actually see this. Obviously, they're going to tone down some of the mechanics and some of them, but if you think about the mythic version of it, it's probably going to be a mess. I have no doubt. So a mess in the good sense, in the fact that there's going to be a lot happening, and you have to be aware about where things are moving, where you have to like sit. It's probably going to be some movement mechanics, some depth, DPS. This I'm thinking that they're probably going to break him down into some parts. I think like the best compromise would be for us to have like transitions where you actually see its size, but then when the actual fight, it's either an avatar of him or some sort of manifestations of him.
I mean, the only thing we've seen so far in terms of abilities, you can see it in the model pictures that they gave us of him, right? Like this is Dimensius just regular, like straight up. That's how he's gonna look when we're in the room with him. But then there's this version of him where he's pulling the void orb out of his chest. This is clearly some kind of a casting ability or something. Maybe it's how the fight ends. I have no idea. But there's the black hole in his chest. And then all of a sudden he's casting it out and doing this big absorb. I don't know if we're going to go into the orb or what, but there's clearly like this is a mechanic. So this is what the fight's going to look like. His whole body is being animated throughout this ability going off. So I don't know how we're visually going to see this shit, because right now, if he's the size of Stormwind, that means this orb is like the size of the trade district or something. This is a massive thing. This is going to engulf the entire raid. So how this shit's going to work, I'm not quite sure yet, but this is like the only hint we've gotten at what some of his abilities are going to look like, which means he's going to be doing them. It's not going to be some kind of tentacle fight, most likely.
That I don't see
something that's a little bit reassuring is I think it's Croesus from Nighthold was a big boss as well. Was the guy that killed Tyrion Forge, if you remember, and that was a worse fight to have problems on because you were fighting the boss on a tiny bridge, so you didn't have a lot of space to work on when it came to like dodgy mechanics. I think if I recall correctly, there were mechanics where you had to like run away from the boss, go to the back of the room, go back in. Now I think there was a snippet on the Wildcat cinematic where they show him being surrounded by like a circular type platform.
Yeah, I've seen
that. Which is something that we've seen before in other types of RPG games where you're fighting a big boss. It's kind of makes sense because then maybe we rotating around the boss, we get to engage with its model a little bit more. But they definitely had a track record of good examples, not just Deathwing, that made them work. So it's not like it's guaranteed to fail.
I'm sure the range DPS will be able to see much better than the melees.
Range mains, let's go.
I'm almost willing to bet on that. There's also the question mark here. Like this is the last boss of the War Within. This should make a transition story-wise and character-wise and arc-wise to Midnight.
I'm hoping for a really good cutscene at the end. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a while since we've gotten like a meaningful cutscene. Like Dragonflight was just filled with meh cutscenes. Like the coolest one was maybe when we killed Razagath, right? And a Ridicron came out and tried to swoop down and bite us, and we teleported. Like that one was decent. And then after that, it was all like every time we killed a boss, it was just like a friendship orgy. Or Sakureth like reaching for just fucking falling over. What the hell? There was no good cutscenes at the end of those fights. So I'm hoping that at the end of this fight, we get something like real fucking epic, like an Avengers Endgame, I don't know, like some kind of really cool post-credits, cinematic, worthy of leading us into the next story. Instead of just like these, oh, I got my powers back from the tree, Sam, thank you. I don't want to see that shit. I want to see something cool go down. Somebody dies or something. I don't know. Give me some good shit. That's what I'm hoping for.
Now, the burning question is, how will this fight end? Because Midnight is all about Void, at least from its visuals.
Yeah.
Void and Shadow and all of that. And if we kill Dimensius, what's left?
That's the interesting part, because initially it was kind of hinted that Xal'atath would be maybe the end boss, and we kill her or we don't kill her, and that paves the way to Midnight. But obviously we know that it's Dimensius. And spoiler alert, by the way, spoiler alert, you have been warned.
Stop the video now if you don't want to be spoiled. We're warning you.
So it turns out that Xal'atath was against the Dimensius this entire time, and she kind of helps us out and get.
This is weird. This is weird. I don't know how I feel about this. Yeah, like okay, I already knew this kind of from the hints of the text in the journal about his abilities, that like Xal'atath is helping us throughout the fight. But what do you mean she's on our side? What the hell? What's going on? Silver Surfer. It's literally Silver Surfer. I've been saying that since the day that we met Xal'atath. So she's actually a good guy trying to help us out. Where'd she come? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. We'll see. She's played such a good villain so far. I don't know how I feel about her, becoming a good guy.
As the new artifact power, it's a little bit of a Sylvanas vibe, but the thing is, what this builds up into, into Dimensius being a bigger threat than we initially realized, and it's a Void Lord. It's supposedly the big baddie, the end baddie of World of Warcraft, and it's one of them, right? So I'm not sure if I hope that we're not actually gonna win.
I don't think
she is out for her, and that's it. I hope so. I think that's fine. If she's just trying to save her own ass, she wants to send more feet pics on her OnlyFans and she wants to live forever to be able to do that kind of stuff, then fine. But if it's going to be like, oh, she's actually good and she came to save us, I don't know how I feel about that. But I'm not going to spoil myself anyways. Well, I guess I'll see the story when I see the story.
I think we're going to win because it would be weird, and I don't see any logical path towards the Midnight expansion. So it's probably going to be something like, if they're going to go the lazy way out, the he escapes, that's bullshit. Something has to happen. Either we shatter something out of him, and from his shattered parts, somebody picks it up. And what I was going to ask, by the way, canonically or lore-wise, how are Void Lords compared with old gods on the scale of power?
They're Void Lords, powerful, from what I understand, they're the counterparts of the Titans. So Void Lords are the boss.
The Void Lords, from what I understand, create the old gods. They create old gods and send them out into this empty space. And if the old god hits something, it basically is like the preparatory virus for it to be devoured by the Void Lord. That's it. That's what an old god is compared to a Void Lord. Now, are Void Lords more powerful than Titans? Or on the same level? They might be on the same level, but it takes so much for them to manifest in our realm, like to get to their full power, that a lot of times I think Titans can fight off a Void Lord because it just has not been able to get to full power. And I think that's what we're going to deal with here with Dimensius, is that he's not going to be at full power. And that's why we're going to be able to defeat him.
That use gold gods to infest world souls and fuck up
So my presumption was correct. So Void Lords are more dangerous, more powerful than old gods. Now, if you remember back in BFA, because I know a lot of you started in BFA, we had the N'Zoth fight, which was an old god. And they tried to make it epic. Some parts were, some were not. But it has to be bigger than that. And how would you kill, like, mere mortal beings would be able to kill off a Void Lord? I don't think so. I think we need some big ass external help. We will not be able to kill a Void Lord. We killed all of that.
So here's my info without actually knowing, which we're probably gonna have this clarified in like a month or something. So it's not gonna be like
very soon on the PTR.
Or like that. Sure. Well, first of all, just to address your first question, because I had a rant about chat on our stream, twitch.tv/MarcellianOnline. Check it out. Leave a follow. Our community actually corrected me because I was wrong. We fought N'Zoth in a pocket dimension, and the actual N'Zoth model, because if you remember, we made fun of the JPEG skybox of N'Zoth.
Right.
But that's, from what I understand, that's supposed to be the actual size of N'Zoth. But we didn't fight the actual size, because apparently we were either inside his brain or inside his mind, so we were kind of fighting, like you said, like an avatar of N'Zoth, which is a little bit lame. But we beat it, not because we were strong, but because we had the artifact power, the artifact Heart of Azeroth thing. So that would make sense. But my tinfoil theory is that we're summoning Dimensius, kind of like how we were trying to stop Kil'jaeden from being summoned in the Summer Plateau. We didn't actually kill Kil'jaeden in the Burning Crusade, but we always knew he was going to come back. And I think this is probably what's going to happen right now. They're attempting to summon Dimensius. We're supposedly going to stop Dimensius from being summoned, and we don't. Now, and we're not on Azeroth, by the way. We're on Koresh. So it's not like if we lose and if we don't stop Dimensius right now, instantly Azeroth is dead. No. So what I would imagine would happen is Dimensius actually gets free. Some of the characters might actually die. We can probably make a prediction who's going to die.
Damn.
And we're gonna, oh my god, let's rush back to Azeroth. He's coming. We need to prepare, and that's how Midnight is gonna start.
Probably.
With Dimensius coming, either using the Sunwell from Quel'Thalas as a conduit,
or like we kind of get rid of Dimensius in a way, like we shush him away, make him go back to wherever he came from for now, and like somebody said in chat, Xal'atath takes the Dark Heart to the Sunwell, right? And like, yes, she helped us defeat Dimensius, that's great, but she's still got her own plan for Azeroth. She wants to rule over Azeroth herself, and so she takes the Dark Heart to the Sunwell, poisons it in some way. Bam, shit goes down. Here we are, midnight. That's probably what happens. Thanos is coming. Yeah, I guess I'll do it myself. Yeah,
manifest into the world, like they've kind of hinted, because we know that Silver Moon and Quel'Thalas is going to be reworked, revamped as his own.
Yeah, Northrend too.
That might be tied into it as well. And we know that Northrend as well, which is, the seat of the Titans in our world. So there's a connection there.
Yeah, well, that would make sense. Again, I'm just a little bit skeptical for them to not take the lazy route and
she takes
actually have
power
this
for
be
herself.
made properly from a game.
Pulls Dimensius' power into the Dark Heart. That would be kind of crazy. She'd be super OP at that point.
Gameplay point of view, from a lore point of view, from a visual point of view, an immersive point of view. Yeah. It is, as they said, the biggest boss they've ever made. It's very ambitious, exciting. And hopefully they're going to deliver on that. I mean, at least it's going to be a hell of a race to World First to watch if this is the case. But more importantly is, like, what do you think? Do you feel Blizzard today is able to deliver on this, the biggest, most epic boss fight ever in World of Warcraft?
Can they do it?
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. I mean, if you're still rating, if you're still interested in rating, I'm guessing this would be a very much anticipated moment with this Dimensius boss fight, bigger than Stormwind itself. So let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. We're going to read them, and if they're cool, if they're interesting, if they get upvotes, maybe they make it into the next discussion video. If not, we're going to have another great topic to cover here.
It's a lot to cover on. And also, we've covered a whole bunch already yet in our Frost Decay rework, which is looking to be the coolest thing that's happening in this patch. Everybody seems to be excited about the Frost Decay rework that's supposed to happen and revamp the spec. Did they do it right?
Yeah, click it. Check it out. Pretty cool.
Yeah, cool video. Look, Dimensius, final boss of this expansion. The final boss of any expansion is either going to leave you with a great taste in your mouth or not so good, right? You're going to end up feeling like, wow, this is a great expansion, what a great finish, or it's going to be like, damn, that was a limp dick noodle boss, and that was a limp dick noodle fight. And that was a limp dick noodle expansion. So we'll see. It's important they get this thing right. It's a big lore moment. And I'm interested to see how Xal'atath plays out. I hope she doesn't go full good guy. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Nice video from Marcellian.